I was invited into the business by Forrest Whitaker. I was an extra to make money for a tattoo many years ago. I got the tattoo, and the lady who cast me as an extra, she called me up almost 2 years after the fact. I was 19 at the time. I was living with my mother, eating her out of house and home. And the phone rings, and there's a woman on the other end, and I think she's calling to talk to my mom. So I said something to the effect that, you want to talk to my mom? She was like, no, I want to talk to you. I was like, okay. Because some of my mom's friends back in the day were, you know, very good looking ladies. So I was like, what do you want to talk to me about? But it wasn't one of my mom's friends. It was a casting director, the same lady who cast me as an extra. And she reminded me of that fact and asked me if I wanted to come read at an open call. And I had no idea what she was talking about. What's an open call? And how much time is this gonna take, basically? Which is funny to me now, because this woman was about to change my life, and I was given an attitude. Anyway, she convinced me to come down to Midtown from Harlem, and I looked in my pocket, I had 2 tokens, one to get down there and one to get home. And I went on down there, and I met with her, and I remembered who she was, and she said, read this. So I have these lines, my first experience with reading lines, and I read it for her, you know, the way I think it should be read. And she just smiles and she said, okay, I want you to find a space you can get with yourself. Practice this, and then I'm gonna introduce you to the director. But there was 200 people there. It was an open call. There was really nowhere for me to find a space for myself except like a little corner like that, you know. I literally went in the corner and just, you know, read the lines over and over. So make a long story short, I come back and I say, yeah, I think I'm ready as I'll ever be. And she says, okay, I'm gonna introduce you to the director. And we walk down the hall, walk down this long hall, and she opens the door. It's Forrest Whitaker. And Bird was one of my favorite movies back in the day. And I saw him and I said, hey man, you're Bird. And he's like, yeah, I guess so. Let me see what you got. So I read for him, and he was quiet for a long time. So I'm looking at the casting director like, you know, what's going on? You know, you brought me back here, had me come all the way down from Harlem. Now this guy's just standing there looking at me. I'm feeling a little awkward. What's the deal? So finally he says, Jackie, his woman's name was Jackie. He said, give us a minute. So she leaves, and he says, you play chess? I was like, no, I don't play chess. He said, come over here and watch this chess game. Because back then on Times Square, or around Times Square, you could play chess on the streets. And we had an elevated position, so he's watching this guy play chess. And he's breaking down how the guy moves. So apparently he's been studying this one guy playing chess for days. And so he's talking to me about chess and this, that, and the other, breaking down the basic rules, watching this chess game. And he says, come back next week. So I came back next week, and every time I would come back, every week for a course of a month, there was somebody else in the room. And I'd be like, hey man, who's this? And he'd be like, don't worry about it, just do what you did last week. And it's like the head of HBO. Who's this? Oh, don't worry about it, just do what you did last week. And it's like, turns out to be some big time producer. I found out later. Who's this? Just do what you did last week. So that went on for a month. And then I got the call after a month that I got the gig, because Forrest went to bat for me and said, this is the guy who wants to play the role. So that's how I got invited into the business. My process of selecting the roles I want to play is informed by the reality of having to pay bills. And it is also tempered by the reality that what I choose to do is going to last longer than the money I make and spend from doing it. So it's a combination. More recently, I've been more selective because I've decided that I have to make that decision if I'm gonna take things to where I think they can go. So I've been turning a lot of stuff down, I'd say the last
10 years or so, as opposed to when I first started. I was more open to trying things, even if I wasn't sure how they were going to turn out after they've been edited and shot and everything like that. But with the experience comes selectivity, at least in my case. And so the first 10 years, I was open to trying new things and was more willing to do whatever came across my desk. The second 10 years, this last 10 years, has been about thinking about the ramifications that come along with the roles that I choose to embody. So I'm a lot more selective now, and I think it's served me recently. I think it's just gonna continue to refine itself, my whole selection process, because experience informs what you do in this world, in this life, as an artist or as somebody who might not do art but just appreciate art. The more we learn about ourselves, the more we learn about life, I think the more selective we are in our decision making in general. I went on to work on a project called 1982, something I'm very proud of, with a burgeoning director who I think is going to be somebody in this town named Tommy Oliver. And again, a dynamite cast, just a stellar cast, dream cast. And it's a period piece. And it takes place in Philadelphia in the year 1982. And it's a family drama that deals with the tragedy of drug addiction and how it can affect the family, from the youngest member of the family to the oldest member of the family and everybody in between, and how it doesn't just affect the person suffering from addiction, but it has a ripple effect. And not just in the family, but in the community in general. One drug addicted person can cause a lot of pain to so many people. So we deal with that in a very sincere way in our film, and it's just another addition to what is turning out to be one of my best years yet. To go from a sci-fi to a western to working on a piece like this, and I just find it quite interesting because lately it seems like I'm getting an opportunity to work on things that have no contemporary relativity. It's like I'm either way off in the future in another planet, or I'm in the old west, or I'm like in Philadelphia 30 years ago. And those are the kind of indicators to me that things are moving forward, because a big part of movie making is fantasy and stepping outside of whatever reality you might be in. And so when I get a chance to do stuff that's not necessarily in this time period or even on this planet, you know, it gives me hope that things are shifting. I think it is incredibly important for us as a people to tell stories. It goes back to a tradition that we've held sacred for millennia. The art of storytelling is a very African thing. It's not exclusively African, but it's definitely something that's important to our community. We have the tradition of griots and things of that, or some people pronounce it griots or whatever. It doesn't matter, it's all the same thing. But we've always held people who tell stories in high esteem culturally, whether it be through music or dance or film or whatever. The written word, it's always been very powerful and important for us. So I don't think that tradition has changed. If anything, now more than ever, we need to continue to tell stories with passion and sincerity. It's a powerful force for us as a people to affect change. I mean, who knows how many people
changed their life when Michael Jackson came out with the song "Man in the Mirror," right?
We'll never know how many people that might have like affected in a positive way. So I just use that as an example to illustrate the fact that storytelling has been, is, and I believe will remain a pivotal force for change in our community.
I play rock and roll music with my band 13 Purple Dragons, and rock music is my first love. I discovered the guitar when I was 12, and it kept me out of trouble during those years. For those of y'all who don't know, the 80s and the early 90s, Harlem was kind of crazy. And I had my guitar to keep me out of trouble and stuff like that. And music is math, and whenever you're practicing your scales or whatever, you're creating a composition, you're dealing with a high science. And the way it stimulates your brain and causes you to focus is something that has brought me a lot of inner harmony. And then to expand from out of that to play with other musicians and create group harmony, and then to go from there to share that group harmony with the audience is like, it's like building something, it's like creating something. And you start it and you finish it. You watch it come to fruition. So playing music with my band, 13 Purple Dragons, is like, for me, spiritual. I think we thump, I think we shred, I think we rock, I think we bring thunder and lightning. And you know, I can't wait to hear how people react to what we present them with, because I think we're dealing with some really powerful forces elementally in our music. And I think we're tapping into something that has been a little subdued, maybe submerged as of late. And it's a primal energy that is not to be diluted with a whole bunch of other stuff that comes along sometimes in my other profession, acting. You know, rock music is raw and it's uncompromising. And there's something clean about that. Something cleaner, I think, at least for me, than the movie business. So I look forward to showing 13 Purple Dragons to the world, because I really think we're going to entertain a lot of people and inspire a lot of people and give a lot of people that kind of primal rock energy, which is missing right now to a large extent, I think.